Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome to a new video of the programming series. And if you want to learn how you can increase your reps in 3 easy steps, then this video is for you. Let's start with step number 1, the beginner stage, which will be our linear progression. So what we're going to do is we will define a number of sets. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't do more than 3 sets for the exercises that you want to level up the repetitions. Let's say we're using pull-ups for this example. In week 1, super basic level, you can do 3 repetitions, so 1 each set. Set number 1, 1, 1, 1. And the failure point we're working with will be technical failure. That means you take a look at the form and you take a look at what is the worst form that you can accept. And if you surpass this worst form that you can accept, this would be counted as failure. And this is a bit individual from athlete to athlete, what you can tolerate, what you consider clean form. So technical failure would describe it a bit more holistically. And then what linear progression means is that you basically try to beat session by session the total number of reps that you did. So in week 2, we are trying to get 2, 1, 1. In week 3, we maybe already get 3, 2, 1. And in week 4, we maybe get 3, 3, 1. So you basically always try to beat the numbers of the previous week. And what is important here is that you always focus on also increasing the first set. So what you don't want to do is that in this week here, if you go from this week to this week, that you maybe do also 2 here, so that you can do 2 here and 2 here. So what we don't want to do is match the reps in all sets, because the first set will always be the most stimulative one. So this is also the set that we can bias the most power towards. So it's more important to get better in the first set than to equal out all the reps throughout our 3 sets. And with this linear progression, if you are a total beginner and you're just getting better session by session, this rookie gains approach here probably gives you the fastest results for your first 8 to 12 weeks. You can definitely beat the last session. Now you trained your linear progression until you can do around 7 reps in the first set. Maybe also 8, somewhat in this region will definitely be possible with a simple linear progression if you take enough time. And then we're going over to step 2, which will be our bi-weekly progression. And as we're running out of progress here, what we can do is utilize a second variable into our training, which is additional weight. Because additional weight can help us to bridge the distance between adding another repetition. So what we're going to do is we will change in a bi-weekly fashion with adding a rep or adding additional weight. So how does that look? In week 1, we are going to do 3 sets, 5 repetitions, and we add 2.5 kg or 1.25 kg. That is something you need to test. Then in the next week, we're going over and we get rid of the additional weight and we add a repetition. So we're doing 3 times 6. Now you see where this is going. Week 3, we add the weight of week 1 again, but with the 3 times 6. Week number 4, we're getting rid of the additional weight and we're adding a repetitions with 3 times 7. And so every second week we can add a repetition to it because we're changing the weight progression with the rep progression, and that works very, very great. When we're looking at the failure point, I would suggest you at this stage to start working with reps in reserve, and we're going to take a look at keeping roughly 1, maybe also 2 reps in the tank for the first 2 sets and then going with the last set to failure in order to verify if that was true for the first 2 sets. And that would mean that in the first week here, we would also need roughly the 7 reps from the linear progression in order to make this true with 1.25 or 2.5 kg. And this will help you to progress for at least another couple of months and getting your reps up to 3 times 7, 3 times 8, 3 times 9, and so on. At a certain point in time, it will also get hard to progress on a weekly basis with the bi-weekly progression. So at this point, we need to switch to a system that needs a bit less progression week by week, because the stronger we get, the smaller the steps, the smaller the increments are that we can add week by week. So we need our system to adapt to that. And what works fantastic here in step 3 is that we go with as many reps as possible, top sets, followed by constant back off sets. How could that system look like? So assuming we made it to roughly 10 reps with the bi-weekly progression system, we start in week 1 with a top set where we go with as many reps as possible with the condition 1 to 2 reps in reserve, which technically is then not as many reps as possible, but you know what I want to say with that. Why do we keep some reps in the tank? Because the stimulus is the same, but roughly the same, but the fatigue level is much lower if we keep 1 or 2 reps in the tank. So if we look at a longer period of training, we just can add more stimulus because the fatigue overall is lower. So that's why this system is pretty smart. You don't need to do that, but it's just a recommendation from my side. And after this, as many reps as possible set, we're going with back off sets, which we will keep constant over the course of a block. And what we're trying to do now is, instead of challenging our progression in 3 sets week by week, we're just doing it with 1 set, session by session, not week by week, sorry. So this is the set that we are trying to progress. So it could be that in week 1 here, we're doing 11, in week 2, we're doing 12, maybe in week 3, we're also doing 12, and in week 4, we may be doing 14 reps. And then the back off sets, 2 times 7 plus 2.5 kg, or more weight here would also be possible. Just take a look at that. It's a moderate rep range, something in the 4 to 8 range is what I would suggest you to do with additional weight so that this stays true. And then in the next block, you can repeat this, and here you will then add 1.25 or 2.5 kg to the back off sets, but you will keep the repetitions constant, and you just try to improve this top set in repetitions. And this is a system as you just need to improve 1 set session by session, or if you just do the session once and have another secondary session, you just need to improve 1 set per week. And this gives you enough regeneration capacities in order to do that. And it also is optimized fatigue-wise, as those higher rep ranges will fatigue you more, so you need more time of them in order to recover. So this is a system that you can also use to work up to 30, 40 reps in your top set by keeping this, the variable, and keeping these constant over the course of the block, and then you just add weight block by block. And this is a fantastic system that works very, very good. And if you need proper rated calisthenics equipment in order to make this happen, then definitely check out the King of Weighted shop, where you can get belts, sleeves, and everything you need in order to make this work for your training.